genie pouring from the sky, let's get rich, what?
Generation Cool is a very direct reflection of myself. Sort of art installation and capitalist version of the story of my life. I think that pre-internet, there were certain things that really resonated, and they were styles of marketing and styles of advertising that were a little bit more sneaky than they are today. So I think we're in this postmodern, sort of postmodern world of unabashedness, and we're past the level of being sneaky or being embarrassed, and brands are like, we don't care. We want to work with Cactus Plant Flea Market to stay relevant. We want to work with Travis Scott to stay relevant. So I think there's sort of like the mask has been pulled off, so to speak. I mean, I don't think it seems like they're saying yes. So I don't think, Generation X sort of had this special place where these brands became iconic, and then we carried them on, right? Why do people like Nike and Jordan still? Because people like you and me said it's cool. Not because it continued to be cool, because it did, but they were riding on our backs a lot of the way there. So I'm still to this day taste making things that happened in the 70s, 80s, 90s, early 2000s to people that are consumers today, young people, even older people, who are looking back going, well, I don't remember Dickies. And I'm like, oh, Dickies, man, come on, that's classic workwear. They make memes about Dickies and Carhartt now. It's my job to make sure that the history and the cool side of branding and capitalism gets passed on, instead of just the monetary part. Throw it on the tees and the totes, and do a little mock.
Yeah.
Let's do that. One sort of hard part about the, between a hard and a rock place part about the 80s and 90s is, if you wanted to be a skater and you weren't that good at skating, you might be called a poser and you could get beat up, whereas now it's okay to want to dress like a photo of a skater you saw from the 90s, and as long as you feel like that's authentic to you, and treat every day like you're creating a new outfit, and like every day is a new piece of art or a new chance for you to express yourself. And I think that back then maybe it wasn't a good thing that we were all sort of put into categories and stuff like that. Because I mean, for me, I was a lot of things. I was a skater, I was a tagger, I was a hip hopper, I was a drug dealer, or what they would call like a baller. I had gold chains, so I was able to sort of even as early as high school and college, I could encompass 6 different groups at once. But I was the anomaly. I was the weirdo. It's sad to see, sort of this underground or, sort of subversive subculture thing go away. But it's also, I'm also happy to welcome in all the sort of big time things that have come with it, like me making a career out of being a vintage salesman. Like a ragman, what they would have called in the 60s and the 70s a ragman, The realest shit anyone ever said to me was my grandfather, before he died, told me that the only way to live a good life is in the country and to live on a farm. And I know that sounds crazy, but to me that was just some gangster shit. He was like basically telling me to go backward. And especially the world we live in today, I realized that in the late 90s, him saying that to me, he really had a lot of foresight. And I think he was seeing a lot of things coming, and I wish that I had at least bought some land out in nature back then, or not that it's ever too late to do anything now. I'm a firm believer of that. But the most gangster shit ever was my grandpa telling me, you should move away, quit your job, quit school, start a farm. And I was like, you're crazy. I would never, in my head I'm like, that's stupid. I would never. And now I'm like, wow, that's almost an ultimate. That's almost an ultimate goal.